This computer, perfect. Started. Excellent. We have people from all over Canada as well as Randy is from America. I met Randy late last year and I was just blown away by his amazing abilities, not only for creating connection, but also being an empathetic and charismatic leader. Now, I will read his bio, which is impeccable, but first things first, Randy shows up as who he is. He is the real deal. Randy has been instrumental. Last year, I had created a podcast of showing up brave on LinkedIn. I didn't even know him at that time. And it was a mutual connection of us that introduced us. And Randy said, yes, I will be on. And since then, we have developed this huge friendship. Randy is also created a reality TV series. He is authored several books. He is the Chief Kindness Officer of the Peacock Institute, providing world-class culture and transformational solutions. Instead of me reading out what was already on the description, I'm here to say, please join hands in welcoming Randy to the podcast.
Thank you, Alnoor. You're so kind. I sure appreciate the opportunity to be here. And thank all of you for taking time out of your day to come and listen to some old guy in Iowa.
And another thing is that he is modest. So Randy, tell us a little bit about, why kindness? Why is that so important?
Well, let me ask, how many of you here, you can show by raise of hands, how many of you like to feel like you're valued and appreciated? I know I do. We all like to feel valued and appreciated, feel like what we're doing or saying or sharing has value and is of worth. And so let me ask you this, have you ever been in a situation where you feel like you are not valued and appreciated? We all have, right?
Yes.
Your cat feels valued and appreciated right now, Krista. I'm going to come and share. I love it. We all care about feeling valued and appreciated, because that when we feel that way, that's what brings out the best in us, right? If you work with someone or have been in a situation where someone has treated you where they thought you were, awesome, where they thought, you were valuable, where they made you feel like, hey, I'm okay and I can do great things, you can't help but want to keep being in that situation, right? Well, we know what it feels like when we've been in situations where we haven't been valued, when we haven't been appreciated. How fast do we want to get away from those situations? Fast as we can. As fast as we can. So what I want to talk about today, why kindness? There's two things. First of all, why kindness matters is because people matter. We all matter. Everybody here, every one of us matters. That's why kindness matters. Let's see, we've got someone trying to join. We'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Why kindness matters because people matter. And what does it matter when it comes to both our personal and professional lives? I had a friend just recently say to me, he says, Randy, kindness is just nebulous. Kindness is nebulous. How, because we had been in a discussion about having a dialogue and how to approach people and someone to be able to try to work out solutions to challenges, right? And I had been, of course, being the kindness advocate I am, so, well, how about trying a little kindness in your approach? And he says, Randy, kindness is nebulous. And I says, okay, what do you mean by nebulous? And I'm going to be careful about how I say it. He just says, well, it's hard to pin down and to describe. You know it when you see it, but you can't, it's hard to describe. I said, okay, I can see how you might feel that way. And then I thought about it. I said, let me give you a definition that I think works. And actually, I'm grateful for that conversation because it really helped me crystallize this definition. Kindness is any behavior or action by which we show that we value and appreciate either ourselves or others. Think about that. It's any behavior or action by which we show that we value and appreciate ourselves or others. And that can encompass a lot of behaviors. Kindness encompasses every action and every behavior whereby we show that we value and appreciate ourselves or others. That can be being honest with somebody. That can be showing somebody consideration. That can be smiling at somebody. That can be saying, hey, you know, Suzanne, I like that plant in your background. I think it looks pretty. You know, I appreciate you, sharing that with us. I appreciate your smile. Or Cynthia, thank you so much for all your efforts today. Or Heather, love your shirt. Or, whatever it might be. And your smiles, any of
They're
those little
great.
things. Those are all simple things, but they're all ways that I show value and appreciation. Now let's think about this. How many of you here either have your own business or work for someone who has their own business? We all do, right? Right. If I want to build a relationship with someone, what are the chances of my success if I don't show value, that I value them and appreciate them? What are the chances? I mean, we know that there's businesses out there where people are pretty cranky when they don't show a whole lot of value and appreciation for their clients or for their employees, and yet they still succeed somehow. To a degree, they do still make some money. What do you think would happen if they changed their whole approach and made "I'm going to value and appreciate people first" their motto?
Lots of changes. People will start really showing up and they feel appreciated and valued. So how is this important in leadership then, Randy?
Well, and think about this. If I'm going to be a leader, if I truly want to be a leader and want people to care about what I say and have a desire to follow, to create loyalty, then every time I show them value and appreciation, I'm going to have that effect. I can't help but want to be with and to follow and to learn from somebody that I feel values and appreciates me. Now, okay, I'm using the terms value and appreciation over and over and over again here. Let's think about this. Okay, if I have a bunch of employees and I want to get the best out of them from a productivity perspective, how do I do it? Well, I show them I care. I treat them with respect. I give them a voice. How many of you like to have a voice in the work you do and to be able to speak up and share ideas? Novel concept, right? We like to be able to speak up and share ideas. If I'm a leader and I give my people the ability to speak up and share ideas, what's going to happen to their creativity? Any thoughts? It's going to go up. If you can turn on a camera, it would be great because I would love to see your smiling faces. It's hard. It's an interesting challenge being on doing a presentation and not being able to see who you're speaking to, only because I love to be able to see your expressions. I'd much rather be in person if I could, but I can't. So that's the only way I get to see your lovely faces and know what you're doing. So if you give them a voice, you give them some autonomy and ability to share their thoughts and ideas, their creativity is going to go up. What's going to happen to the innovation? What's going to happen to the innovation? It's going to go up. When your creativity and your innovation go up, what's going to happen to your productivity? It's all going to go up. It's all going to go up. And if you have those things and you have happy employees, how are they going to treat each other, and how are they going to treat your clients?
Better. It's about the employee experience. This is fantastic. So what do you say about those people that say, I'm sorry, I'm saying we're the only two guys here. No, there are two more that have just joined.
Come on,
Nice
Wayne and
guys
John, you
finish
got to show your
last.
faces.
So what do you think about that? I mean, there's so much rap that, we when we put ourselves out there, how is this promoting leadership?
Okay, I'm sorry, say the question one more time.
Thank you. I love what you've said. However, I'd like to give you this point here. Nice guys finish last, or nice people finish last. What do you say about that when, people feeling that there is so much that's going on in the world right now that we are protecting our energies? So what is your comment regarding that?
Well, I can see how people would say nice guys finish last, because if they have the perspective that nice guys are guys that just let people run them over. And the fact of the matter is, if I value and appreciate you, I'm going to have the courage to, and if I have value and appreciation for myself, I'm going to have the courage to stand up and speak out for myself and for my ideas and for my needs. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it tactlessly, though. It means I'm going to do it in a way that's respectful and yet firm, right? And here's the thing. If I will guarantee you, I can guarantee you that the person who is nice and cares about other people, and they can feel it when they start dealing with that person, they're going to be the ones that attract people like honey. Like, they're going to attract people like honey does bees, because everybody wants to work and be with and be around the person who's positive and the person who cares. And so, and when it comes, so that's going to empower that person, that leader, to have a much greater influence on those people than it will be if he treats them like a jerk. I mean, how many of us are magnetically drawn to jerks? Or to people, let me rephrase that, to people who act like jerks. I try to believe, maybe I'm optimistic and naive. I try to believe that there's goodness in everybody, but there are people who act like jerks regardless. So to that, I'd say, being nice, being kind, rather than being somebody who can be ran over, it's actually the foundation for being able to truly lead people and help them to have a desire to do good things.
That's great. What is the simple formula for somebody to start that right now, today?
If somebody really wants to start making a difference and helping people to feel valued and appreciated right now, today, there is a simple formula, and I call it the kindness givers formula. It's a formula I wrote, that I created and wrote about a book about, but it's really easy to learn, and it lays the foundation for everything you do. Every day, get up, look in the mirror, and say, I'm going to be a kindness giver today. And you might think that that's pretty simple-minded, and what difference is that going to make? Why is getting up and looking in the mirror and saying, I'm going to be a kindness giver today, why is that going to make a difference? The fact is, it puts kindness at top of mind right off the bat. Right as your day is starting, you're starting to think about, okay, I'm going to be a kindness giver today. And then you get that going in your brain, because that prepares you for the next step. The next step is to take 5 or 10 minutes and think about your day. Who are you going to be with, where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing, and think of potential opportunities to show value and appreciation, to be kind in whatever situation you might find yourself. If you're going to be in a meeting, I can be an attentive listener. If you're going into the office and or going to be with a friend or something, you can think, okay, I can let them know how much I appreciate them, or you can smile, or whatever it might be. Simple things, potential things that you can do in whatever situation you might find yourself. If you're driving through traffic, maybe you can let somebody in and not cut somebody off or something. Just think about those things. The third step,
Fantastic. I love those. So
yeah.
what about leaders? When leaders feel like they are going to cross the line when if they are going to be friends with the employees, how is that going to impact them?
You know, you can if they're going to, you're saying, are you asking if they want to be friends with somebody, is that going to affect their ability to interact professionally and accomplish what they need to?
Exactly.
How many times has somebody treating you kindly made you feel like you don't want to work for them or work with them? If someone shows respect to you, how many times is that going to, are you going to turn away and say no? Now, there, granted, not everybody, life isn't all rose colored glasses. And I'm not naive enough to think that not everybody is going to respond to kindness or respect, to you showing them that you value and appreciate them. Some people are not going to respond positively to that, but in my experience, 99% of people will. And so you just keep trying. And with the ones that don't immediately, I've had experience where someone didn't respond to kindness, but I just kept treating them nicely. And over time they did respond. They came around. Now there's two more steps in that formula. First, you
That,
determine you're going to be kind. Second, you think about and plan ways to be kind. Third, you look for and act on opportunities to be kind. We can all find opportunities wherever we are, whatever we're doing, to be kind. Again, simple things: smile, show appreciation, listen attentively, hold the door, tell somebody they look nice, whatever it might be. And then the final step is to invite and encourage other people to do the same thing. We've all been in situations where someone has done something kind for us, and we could not help but get that contagious pay it forward feeling. We wanted to go and do something nice for somebody else.
that's
And
fantastic. And Whitney has the same idea. She posted over here, I was having a rough morning yesterday and decided to grab donuts for the guys in the one plant that always miss out on goodies. And it just
love
set
it.
the tone for the rest of the day from crap to great. I love that. Thank you. That's brilliant. So this is about then looking at people or employees not as widgets, but as individuals. Because with what's going on in the world, we are languishing. And how can we change that temperature and make it into flourishing is by starting with self. We can be, and as what Heather has said, which I love over here, is being kind to others gives us a dopamine hit and makes us feel better, which is so true. And this is not, this question just came to me. Like, you do find people love to edify. And sometimes sometimes I go over the top, but I believe in also the rose colored glasses. How can people then, think, is this guy for real or is he being fake? What are some ways as an individual can you take that on?
It's interesting that the only way that you can get past that, people believing that thing, is just to be consistent in your actions. Honestly, just be consistent in your actions. Excuse me. I'm still fighting a little bit of a cold. Be consistent in the things that you do day in, day out. That's why this formula is so simple. If I live that every day, people are going to know that's just the way Randy is. That's just the way he treats people. That's just the way he acts. People are going to know that's just the way Connie is. She looks out for people and is kind, and Amy and Krista and Suzanne and Whitney and Wayne and Sophia and Heather, everybody, as we're consistent in doing those simple, kind actions, then people will take us seriously and know that, hey, and they're going to see, they cannot help but see when you're kind, there's a direct connection to happiness. Happiness is a byproduct of kindness. You cannot be kind and not be happy. It's like Heather said, you get a dopamine rush. Well, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, that spells dose. Every time you're kind to somebody, you get a dose of happiness. And the beautiful thing is as you bring them a dose of happiness. And so it spreads. It spreads. And they go and they can't help but want to pay it forward. And so just be consistent.
That's fantastic. You've given us an amazing formula that we can start right away. And what Whitney said is that even though you're having a bad day, and what Heather has said, that it creates that dopamine impact, this is going to shift the cultures if we're not doing it. And as leaders, these are some very simple ways, is to look your employees in the eye and have time, even with virtual teams, is that we can take that impact. I would love to open up the floor for any questions we have for Randy.
If you want to unmute, raise your hand or whatever, feel free.
I'm going to volunteer somebody. Drum roll. I'm picking an initial. It's coming up as H. Let me see. Heather, unmute.
The curse of being Alnoor's bestie.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions, Alnoor.
Any
But I will
thoughts,
call.
comments?
I do have thoughts and comments. Yes, absolutely. You've given some brilliant information today and a great reminder. And just the infectious smile that you come to the room with just brightens the whole room up.
That's fantastic. I'm going to be picking up another initial, and this time it's coming up with the K, Krista. So tell us some things what is something that you found today was interesting, that was perhaps a new perspective, and also a tiny bit about who you are.
Okay. Well, I do have a question actually.
Oh, good.
When someone is unkind, how do you get them to be kind? How do you teach kindness?
The only way I've found to do that is just by turning around and say, hey, I appreciate your opinion and I appreciate what you're maybe thinking or feeling right now, but I see things differently, and continue to treat them with kindness regardless of how they treat you. Now, sometimes that's not easy. That's not easy because there are people who and I can give you a perfect example. My dad was not a kind man. He was not a kind man. He worked hard. He taught me to work hard, but he had very little reference when it came to how to be kind to people. He yelled a lot, swore a lot. I heard more swearing, in a day than some people hear in a lifetime at time. I mean, maybe it's not quite that bad, but it seemed like it at the time. But I learned over time that if I responded continually to him with anger, it didn't change anything. In fact, it just made the situation worse. So I was blessed to have a desire to respond differently. Fortunately, my mother was one of the kindest people I've ever known. That's the only way I could figure out how she put up with my dad for over 27 years before they finally got a divorce. But I just learned over time that if I could try to keep my cool and not respond with anger and instead respond with kindness, things would get better. And in reality, over time, it took time. And I'm a religious guy, took a lot of prayer over time and a lot of prayer. I actually built a decent relationship with my dad. Would I say we were best buds? No, but we were able to build a relationship and tolerate being in the same room and that's what I had to do, but it's not always easy, is it?
And so when you run into leaders who are unkind, how do you get them to shift their mindset? Like, what is something that you can do to help shift that? Because when you're in a giant community and there is someone who isn't kind, it is really hard for you. And it's one thing for yourself to stay patient and nice, and we can all control our own feelings, but how do you convince the other people besides just being nice? Like, how can you take them aside and say, look, you're a real jerk. So how do we incorporate kindness into your day?
Well, first of all, if you have the kind of relationship where you can actually take them aside and talk with them, that's the first step I would take. Take them aside and say, hey, Alnoor, and do this to the leader. Say, hey, Alnoor. No, just kidding. But you say, hey, whatever their name is. Can I ask you a question? What advantages is treating people in ways that they feel like you're coming across as a jerk, bringing to your life and bringing to our organization? What advantages is that bringing to us? And they're going to have to stop and think, is this bringing us any advantages? And the fact of the matter is, if they really stop and think about it and they're willing to listen to you, they're going to recognize the fact that it's not bringing any advantages. And then you can make suggestions, can I suggest a few things that I think might bring some advantages, might be advantageous for us? And if they're open to that, then you can talk to them and give some ideas. Say, listen, how about we stop criticizing each other in our meetings? And how about we develop what we call a positive, a kindness mindset and a kindness heart set? And what is that? It means the mindset is seeing and thinking about people as people. We start seeing each other as people. And the heart set is feeling and acting toward people like they have value and that you appreciate them. Let's just do a little experiment. There's all kinds of studies out there, but how about we do our own experiment? Identify a few little behaviors that we can do today that show value, that show that we value and appreciate people, and see what the results are let's do that for a week.
That's brilliant. It does
Does that
seem
make any
so
sense?
simple. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, I was just saying, does that make sense? And
So good. I mean, it's not, we talk about, toxic workplace cultures. It's the toxic behaviors. And if we can, pinpoint it and speak to that individual, then perhaps they do not know what is happening. And together we can indeed change the workplace culture. If there are no more questions, I would love to say, this is just going to read out the thought here from Heather. Sorry about that. I think it's really great. Sorry, even Cynthia asking for permission to give recommendations is important. Brilliant, Cynthia, so good, is that we can indeed have meaningful conversations when there's safety created. So these are micro steps that can have macro impact, that can change our workplaces one person at a time. And we would love to have these discussions with you. And to do that, please do book a discovery call, visit flourishingworkplaces.com, and we would love to chat with you. If there are no more questions, I would love to say thank you very much to Randy. And before we go, sorry, one more thing is, Randy, where can we find your books and your website too?
Yeah, my website is randy@randymcneely.com. I have to say the PPOC Institute, I'm in the process of revamping. So it's actually going away. I'm still going to be the Chief Kindness Officer, but I'm combining some things into one website. So my website is randy@randymcneely.com.
Fantastic. And when can we start watching the the shows?
Well, The Kindness Factor is our reality TV show. It's a kindness-driven reality TV show where we're sharing the stories of amazing individuals and organizations that are doing great things to bring kindness into the world. We're still in post-production, and so stay tuned. We're working hard to find a home for the show, and when we do, definitely we'll be making a lot of marketing splashes. So
that's fantastic. And you can connect with Randy on LinkedIn as well. Cynthia, thanks ever so much for posting the link. for the getting onto a discovery call, because we can indeed change the workplace one at a time. Thank you, thank you, everybody. Have a lovely rest of the day. And thank you so much, Randy, for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks to everybody. Thank you all for taking some time, a little bit of time out of your day and coming and joining us. I really appreciate you.
Goodbye, everybody.
You want to stay on for a second, Alnoor?
Sure.